Good morning. This is Yvonne Cooper, USA Niagara's Acting Corporate Secretary. I'd like to welcome everyone to this morning's meeting. Before we formally begin, I would ask that everyone please mute your phone lines unless you're speaking. We'll begin today by taking a roll call of the directors to ensure we have a quorum present on the line. Please be so kind as to say present when we call your name. Francine Del Monte,
Present.
Michael Williamson, Scott Bridges,
Present.
Dr. Chandra Foote.
Present.
Thank you all so much for joining today. Chair DeMonte, you are ready to begin.
Thank you, Yvonne. It's my pleasure to call to order the meeting of the directors of the USA Niagara Development Corporation for Tuesday, March 22nd, 2022. Please note that everyone should mute their phone until you are ready to speak. Also, for the record, I will ask that anyone wishing to speak to please state your name before you begin. I'd also like to note for the record that in accordance with current legislation, this meeting will be conducted by teleconference. I also note for the record that the public was given the opportunity to comment on the agenda items by submitting their written comments by 4:30 p.m. on Friday. I'd like to further note for the record that no comments were received from the public concerning today's agenda items. The directors have received the relevant written materials in advance of today's meeting and are free to ask questions at any time. Before we begin with the substantive portion of the meeting, I'd like to ask the directors whether anyone has any potential conflict of interest with respect to the items on the agenda. If so, I ask that you please make an appropriate disclosure on the record at this time. We will then be sure that you may recuse yourselves from any discussion or vote regarding such item. Hearing nothing, our first order of business is the approval of the minutes of the October 12th, 2021 directors meeting. Are there any questions, comments, additions, or deletions? If not, I appreciate a motion for approval.
I would make
Chandra
the
Foote,
motion
so
to
moved.
approve. Scott Bridges, second.
Who was first?
Chandra.
Thank you, Chandra. And Scott?
Scott Bridges, second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. I'd like to now call upon Anthony Velardo to present the next item on today's agenda, approval of the corporation's operating budget for fiscal year 2022-23. Anthony, when you're ready.
Thank you, Chairwoman. State finance law requires that prior to the commencement of each fiscal year on April 1st, the directors of the USA Niagara Development Corporation adopt an annual budget. For the fiscal year 2023, the operating budget of the corporation is proposed to be $674,692. This proposes a total of $551,142 in personnel services and a total of $123,550 in non-personnel services, primarily our office occupancy, insurance, and other administrative expenses. The corporation's 2022-23 fiscal year capital budget is proposed to be $70,244,760. This includes design and other soft costs. It is anticipated that the proposed capital budget will fund design support and construction costs for the Rainbow Mall Civic Improvement Project, capital grants related to the Hotel Niagara and Cambria Hotel Residential Development projects, and maintenance and site preparation expenses associated with the property secured through USAN's Strategic Land Acquisition Program. The directors are requested to ratify and approve the corporation's proposed fiscal year 2022-23 annual operating budget in the amount of $674,692 and an annual capital budget in the amount of $70,244,760, subject to all projects being approved by this board, and to authorize the corporation to undertake tasks and incur expenses consistent with advancing the scope of work contemplated in those proposed budgets. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. I'd like to remind everyone again to please state your name before speaking. Are there any questions or comments from the directors regarding this item? As noted earlier, we do not have any comments from the public with regard to this item. I will now entertain a motion for approval. Any one of you.
Sandra Foot, I move.
Scott Bridges would second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. Anthony will now present our next agenda item, a request for approval of the Niagara Falls Conference and Convention Center and Old Fall Street calendar year 2022 operating and capital budgets. Anthony, if you'll proceed.
Thank you, Chairwoman. USA Niagara Development Corporation is the owner and developer of the Niagara Falls Convention Center. The USA Niagara Board of Directors on October 12, 2021 authorized USA Niagara to enter into a 5-year agreement with the Niagara Tourism and Convention Corporation, doing business as Destination Niagara USA, to provide management services for the Niagara Falls Convention Center and the City of Niagara Falls owned Old Fall Street for a term of 5 years, commencing on January 1st, 2022. As the Convention Center and Old Fall Street operations currently recover from the COVID-19 pandemic, Destination Niagara has proposed an operating capital budget which will allow for basic operations, completion of deferred capital projects, and the launching of a new strategic marketing efforts, including the rebranding of the Convention Center, formerly known as the Conference and Event Center. For the capital year 2022, the funding source will be through a New York State budget appropriation made available through the Buffalo Regional Innovation Cluster, aka Buffalo Billion Phase 2. I am pleased to be joined this morning by the President and CEO of Destination Niagara, John Percy, who is going to walk you through the operating capital budgets along with General Manager Jason Murja.
Thank you, Anthony. It's a pleasure to be with all of you this morning as we commenced on January 1st and managing the project now known as the Niagara Falls Convention Center. Recently went through a rebrand, which was introduced approximately about a month ago with a brand new website that we're very pleased with, that has now been introduced to the world and to our database of meeting planners, both in our office as well as the office at the Convention Center. So we're very pleased with already the reception and the positive comments that we've received, and look forward to a bright 5 years ahead of us with, hopefully building upon the success and business that we've had in the past years, and look forward to that projection. Jason's going to walk you through the budgets. I want to commend he and Dave Jenkins on their team. They work closely with myself and Andrea Zopp, my Chief Operating Officer, as well as Rich Spiller on my team in finance. And they've done a wonderful job at looking at a projection for this year on revenue side, as well as expenses. I am pleased to say that already we have recognized considerable savings across many lines, where a lot of expenses that went to Philadelphia to Spectra were sort of filled with other just, I would think, bonus expenses for them for handling certain operations of the building. And those savings are now very evident line by line when we went over them with Jason and Dave Jenkins from his team. So Jason, if you could walk us through that briefly on both of these budgets, that would be great.
Sure. Thank you, John. Hello. The proposed 2022 operating budget for the Niagara Falls Conference Center is $203,594. The operating budget for Old Fall Street is $613,333. The total operating budget for Niagara Falls Conference Center and Old Fall Street is $816,927. The proposed 2022 capital budget is $683,000. The capital budget includes a total of $583,000 in funding for Niagara Falls Conference Center and a total of $100,000 in funding for Old Fall Street. Destination Niagara will make the proposed capital budget purchases on behalf of USA Niagara through state contracts were cost-effective and through competitive bids and comparable pricing where state contracts are not available. The capital budget for the Niagara Falls Conference Center includes AV and IT upgrades for $100,000, food and beverage kitchen upgrades for $148,000, and operational capital improvements such as emergency lighting, fire alarm systems, roof repairs for a total of $210,000, and emergency repairs for $50,000. Included in the OFS capital budget is $50,000 for street repair and $50,000 for street decor and interactive games. The combined operating and capital budget is a total of $1,499,927. The Niagara Falls Conference Center operating and capital budget totals $786,594. The Old Falls Street operating and capital budget is a total of $713,333. The proposed operating and capital budgets are attached. So far this year, we've hosted about a dozen events. And looking at our budget, you will see our revenues are down slightly, where we're doing less, more significant events, but more smaller ones, and our expenses are in line with that. In Q1 of this year, we did lose some events due to COVID, whereby they cannot be rescheduled, predicated on prior contractual dates and the Canadian border. However, we did have a St. Patrick's Day community event that was actually great turnout, and in turn kind of gave us great hope for future events and getting back to some sense of normalcy. From a sales perspective, we are extremely busy and we are booking. For Q2 through Q4, we are moving ahead as originally envisioned, which is significant for our event and our downtown community. We will again host the Dr. Joe Dispenza event. They were with us back in 2019. It was a 7-day citywide conference that attracted over 1,600 attendees, and I believe that was one of the largest and most economic conferences in the history of Niagara Falls. That conference is scheduled in September of this year. So yes, we're still getting impacted by COVID slightly. However, we are seeing through our sales and our bookings this year, starting in April throughout, that people want to get back to the event world and be in person. So I'm extremely optimistic and hopeful for this year in 2022. And as John Percy mentioned, we have seen some significant savings due to this transition, specifically in fees of the management fee, insurance fees, payroll fees. We have seen a significant amount of savings, and those savings ultimately go right back into the building and promoting the building, which is ultimately what the goal was with USA Niagara. So thank you very much.
I would also like to add, this is John Percy once again, that we received a $200,000 grant, or really $150,000 grant from New York State, a consolidated funding application that we put in last July, and received it this past December in hopes of taking over the management of this building. And that entire grant is devoted to the reintroduction of the brand Niagara Falls Convention Center to the meeting planner world in Chicago, Washington, D.C., and Albany. Thank you. 3 specific areas that we target for convention and meetings. So we're so pleased to have that, because that large chunk of money has never been spent at one time in marketing the building. So it's a great sum of money that is being coordinated right now in a full-fledged marketing campaign that will commence here probably April, the latest in early May.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Jason. Directors, we are requesting you to approve USA Niagara's proposed calendar year 2022 Niagara Falls Convention Center and Old Falls Street operating and capital budgets in an amount not to exceed $1,499,927, and to approve Niagara Falls Convention Center and Old Falls Street funding for the first quarter of 2023, the calendar quarter, in the amount not to exceed $250,000, and to disperse funds in accordance with the calendar year 2022 Niagara Falls Convention Center and Old Falls Street operating budgets attached hereto.
Scott
Thank you.
Bridges, motion
I,
approved.
no, we're not there yet.
Oh,
I'd like to remind everyone to please state your name before speaking, and if there are any questions or comments from the directors with regard to this item. I do have a question or two regarding this item, and I open this up to, in terms of answers, to anyone that isn't on this phone call. I have read, as I'm sure the directors have and others, that the agreement that Destination Niagara is, and USA Niagara with the city, I was under the impression, based on what I had read, that it had been approved. I'm not really quite clear if that is the case or not, and my question is, what is the status of that agreement with Destination Niagara as of today?
Thank you for the question, Chairwoman. We had sent over to the city in December an agreement similar in content that had been in place since we took over operation of the streets in 2009, and we are currently trying to iron out some details with the city for some requests that they have made to make some amendments to that agreement. So I will remind the board that we cannot expend any of the funds that will be budgeted for the street until that agreement is signed.
The agreement was sent
Old Falls in December.
and what's our time frame?
We, have sent something back to the city last week with some language that we felt was necessary to protect some of the investments of the organization in regards to prioritization of events on the street.
So what's the major hiccup with the agreement? I mean, what's holding things up? If this has been a standard agreement that the city's engaged in for years, whether it was with Spectrum or now with Destination Niagara, what's the issue?
The city has requested.
Let me follow that up with this. Let me follow this
Sure.
question up with, or my comment up with this question. And this actually goes to Jason and to John as much as to you, Anthony, and or the board members. I imagine that scheduling, whatever events or programs that we hope to host on that expanse, we're going to be in April next week. I think there should be multiple answers to this question. That's all I'm saying.
We're, diligently trying to work through, some of their requests. And we have sent over some language which we believe would be workable and are just waiting for their response to that. We understand we're under the gun, and I think, nobody knows better than, the folks here that, this, needs to be done as soon as possible in order to ensure that we're able to have a successful season on Old Fall Street.
Jason, John, where are you on this?
Well, as of this morning, the mayor had said to me when he was leaving our board meeting that the agreement was completed. And I said, well, it is not completed because there's still a sentence that he wants removed in that document that hinders our ability to program that street to our calendar or to work with convention calendars or future convention calendars. I pointed it out this morning that we just booked FASNY, which is the Fire Association of New York State, for 2 years in a row, August of 2023 and August of 2024. They committed to us for 2 years in a row, and why they liked us versus Buffalo and Syracuse, our two competitors on this bid, was the use of the street and being able to close and showcase fire equipment during the period of their convention while they're here in town. And so this sentence that the mayor wants removed doesn't sort of give us that freedom nor a locked-in calendar, correct? Yeah. To make sure that we are committed and that we can follow through with our commitment with these contracts with potential conventioneers and convention delegates for what they they need. I think it's just the one sentence, right, that we are working on. And I told him I would send that over to him today, which I will do as we leave this meeting. It's my next item on my agenda today, to make him aware of where that sentence is a problem.
Well, that's not a small issue. That's not a small issue.
It does hinder, and it is an obstacle, a major one, for us to book. And not just events, it's events as well. For events and regular community events and ongoing events on a year-long basis.
I want my fellow directors to understand that if you've read articles about this agreement, as I have in the local newspapers over the last couple months, your impression might have been this was a completed agreement and document was signed and delivered. What transcended with the council was an approval of a resolution that authorizes the mayor to enter into an agreement. So there's a distinct difference between how how it's been presented, publicly. The council's role was solely as an action authorizing the mayor to enter into this agreement. The agreement has not been, obviously, as you've heard as I have, has not been approved. So going forward, April 1st is around the corner. Our big season starts at the end of May. I suggest that probably puts a lot of pressure on everyone to get the ball rolling so that there is activity on Old Fall Street. That's my commentary. I open up to the directors if you have any comments about this, but it's of a concerning nature because we are approving a budget. And if we're approving a budget, we need to see action. So if anyone else would like to comment, you're welcome to do so now.
Francine, it's Jason. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Good. Obviously, from a logistical standpoint, on doing the programming, operational, and horticulture needs on the street, you're absolutely right. We start the ground running in January. Every day that goes by poses a significant challenge to us, considering that there is absolutely no staff going on. So yes, it does pose a significant challenge. Having said that, the sooner we get this done, the better off we're going to be. But we are committed, our staff, Destination Niagara and Old Fall Street, are committed, once this does get executed, to make sure from a guest experience that it is as seamless as it was for previous years. But again, to your point, yes, this poses a significant challenge in terms of programming.
I appreciate that, Jason. Thank you. Directors, if you have any comments or questions, now is the time to ask them. If not, we do not have any comments from the public regarding this item.
It's Chandra. If we don't vote on this budget now, here's what I'm saying. We vote on the budget now, and then the sentence gets removed or whatever, and it gets approved, and everything can run smoothly. If we don't vote on it now, we still have to wait for this other piece to get done, and then we would have to get back together and vote again, right?
Oh, I'm not suggesting that we don't approve this. Please don't misunderstand my comments.
Okay, all right,
we're certainly going to move forward on the item. I just want the directors to be aware that there's a stalemate of sorts.
Yes, exactly, and that we need to push it through.
Mm-hmm. Scott, if not, I will entertain a motion for approval on the item.
I'll give you that one, Scott, if you want it.
Scott Bridges, I'll make that motion.
Chandra Foote, second.
Thank you all. I'm sorry here. Are we all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries. And thank you for the conversation. I'm glad we've had an opportunity to discuss this. I want to make sure everybody understands the situation, and that's why I felt it was necessary to have the discussion. Anyway, Anthony, would you present the next agenda item? It's a request to adopt a proposed general project plan for the 311 Rainbow Boulevard mixed-use hotel residential development project.
Yes, thank you. For the record, I'd like to note that we are joined today at the USA Niagara office by the developer of the project, Mr. Frank Strangio, representing Plati Niagara. We are requesting of the board the findings and determinations pursuant to Section 10G of the Urban Development Corporation Act, authorization to adopt the proposed general project plan, authorization to make a grant, to make a determination of no significant effect to the environment, and to take all related actions. USA Niagara has offered an incentive proposal of a grant of up to $1.7 million to be used as a reimbursement for a portion of the cost of construction on a $20.1 million mixed-use hotel residential development project, which includes a 120-room hotel, along with 3 two-unit residential townhouses, initially be marketed as vacation rental use. You have the project budget in front of you. The project is expected to employ 14 new full-time equivalent employees at the project site. Plati Niagara is also owns, it was founded by Antonio Strangio with his sons, Frank and Anthony of Niagara Falls. They have owned and operated the Quality Inn Hotel and Antonio's Banquet Hall on Niagara Falls Boulevard since 1991. Plati was formed to expand into downtown Niagara Falls market with new build hotels and retail opportunities. In May of 2015, Plati opened the Wingate by Wyndham Hotel on Rainbow Boulevard in the heart of the downtown tourist district. The company's investment, I said that I apologize. I did want to make note of our past support. Past funding to the grantee totaling $980,000 is summarized on the chart and on page 3 of the agenda item. This is a capital grant in conjunction with the Wingate by Wyndham Hotel retail project. I will entertain any questions that the board may have at this time.
Anthony, I don't have any questions. I actually just want to thank Anthony, his dad, his family, his brother, for making another large investment in downtown Niagara Falls. It's going to be quite an asset to the hospitality industry, and certainly for new hotel rooms in downtown Niagara Falls. And, you know, on behalf of myself, and I'm sure the board and all of us at USA Niagara, we're very grateful that they look to Niagara Falls as a place to do business and to establish a family legacy in the hotel business. So Frank, thank you very much, sweetie. You're a good guy.
Francine, thank you so much. I cannot thank you and the board enough and for the support on this project and continued support in the downtown Niagara Falls area. I feel like in the last 10 to 15 years has been a renaissance down here, and we're really proud to be a part of that. We were born and raised here, and my brother and I were born and raised here in Niagara Falls, and this is home, and we believe in the destination, and we are here for the long haul to see it flourish. And, this project could not have been made possible without the cooperation with the USA Niagara and ESD. And I cannot thank Anthony Villardo and John Riccio enough for their support and guidance along the way. And they've just been wonderful to work with and are truly an asset to development in downtown Niagara Falls. And we thank you, and thank you.
Well,
And if anyone is, before you vote, if anyone hasn't been down to see the construction is underway, the 3 houses on Buffalo Avenue are framed. And I think it's important to note that we worked very carefully with the developer on ensuring that they will blend in seamlessly with the Buffalo Avenue Heritage District. So a lot of the characteristics in the elements of design were taken from USA Niagara's design standards for the Buffalo Avenue Heritage District, and the foundation is underway for the hotel itself, which fronts Rainbow Boulevard. So this is a very unique and complicated project, and to have a group like Plotty with the Strangio family at the head of that group working with us, I'm very confident this will be a successful project, which is going to add quite a bit of character and quality to the downtown area.
Oh, I agree with you completely, Anthony. It's going to be a wonderful asset downstairs, and I really look forward. Frank, when is the anticipated, not just construction, but the final, I don't know why I can't say things, but when do you expect the project to be completed? I guess that's what I want to ask.
So it'll be kind of in two phases. The residential portion, the houses are well on their way. And as Anthony said, they're framed and the roof is done. Next step is the EFS, the drive it around the exterior, and while we're working on interior. We hope to have those open by this summer season. So June, I'd say at the latest. And then the hotel is slated to open in the spring of 2023. We're hoping April or May.
Beautiful, beautiful. Directors, do you have any questions or comments regarding this item? As I've noted earlier with previous items, we do not have any comments from the public regarding this item. So now it'd be my pleasure to entertain a motion for approval on this item, please.
Scott Bridges, I would make the motion.
Chandra will second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. Anthony will present the final item on today's agenda, which relates to a request for authorization to approve a grant in connection with the 320 to 324 Niagara Street mixed-use historic rehabilitation project. Anthony, if you'll take us through that.
Thank you, Chairwoman. We are requesting authorization to approve a grant and for the board to make determination of no significant effect on the environment and authorization to take all related actions. 324 Niagara Street Landlord LLC. For 320 to 324 Niagara Street, it's a mixed-use historic rehabilitation project. I would like to make note that there is a error in the agenda item in front of you. We received an updated budget from the company. The $4.5 million in there, it's approximately a $3.5 million historic restoration, and the change comes from a change in the project where they had a commercial tenant who was slated initially to go into the ground floor of the space through some complications at no fault of the landlord. So that may end up rising, but for the purpose of this, we want to make sure that it is approximately a $3.5 million number. That's what we'll be using in their historic restoration of two mixed-use, three-story eligible buildings totaling 12,531 square feet on Niagara Street in downtown Niagara Falls. This is one of the last remnants of a pre-urban renewal area in the Niagara Street area in Niagara Falls. The project includes capital improvements, facade improvements, and interior renovations, creating 4,177 square feet of first-floor commercial retail space. Project activity also includes the renovation of 10 market-rate apartments on the second and third floors. The project is a welcome addition in the promotion of downtown Niagara Falls and the 3rd Street Business District. Staff is recommending that the board authorized the trustees of the Niagara Economic Development Fund to make a $145,000 grant through a grant program known as the NEDF, and to make a determination of no significant effect on the environment and on the terms and conditions set forth in these materials. I'll take any questions if anyone should have any.
Anthony, this is the Savarino project?
Yes, the 324 Niagara Street Landlord LLC is a subsidiary of Savarino Development. Essentially, it's a shell corporation for them to be able to undertake this project, but it is Sam Savarino and his company, Savarino Companies.
Okay. Directors, do you have any questions or comments regarding this item? Please note that we do not have any comments from the public on this particular item. So now I will entertain a motion for approval. Chandra.
Yes, Chandra says yes, I move approval.
Scott Bridges,
Yeah.
second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Thank you. The motion carries. There being no further business, may I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Chandra says I move adjourn.
Scott Bridges, second.
Thank you very much, directors. Thank you, Anthony, and your guests, ESB, for today's meeting. If there be no further business. Oh, I'm sorry. I was supposed to say the motion carries. My apology. The motion carries. But thank you to everyone for participating in today's meeting, and I hope everybody has a good day.
Thank you, directors.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Take care.